Daniel Carter never imagined his life would shrink to this. Once he had dreams, big ones, a stable career, a warm home, a future that felt secure. But life has a cruel way of rewriting plans without asking permission. At 34, Daniel was a single father to a 7-year-old boy named Noah. His wife, Lily, had died 3 years earlier after a sudden illness that drained not only their savings, but the light from Daniel's world. Since then, every breath he took felt heavier, every morning harder than the last. Daniel worked as a junior data analyst at Harrington Tech, one of the most powerful corporations in the city. The pay was modest, the hours long, but it was enough, barely, to keep food on the table and a roof over Noah's head. Every day followed the same exhausting routine. Wake before sunrise, prepare Noah's breakfast, walk him to school, rush to work, stay late, pick Noah up from the neighbor, come home, collapse. The small apartment reflected Daniel's life, quiet, cluttered, tired, unwashed dishes stacked in the sink, laundry waiting for weekends that never seemed to come, toys scattered across the floor like reminders of promises he struggled to keep. That evening, rain poured relentlessly as Daniel dragged himself up the stairs to his apartment, briefcase in one hand, exhaustion in every step. He unlocked the door and froze. The apartment was spotless. The dishes were gone. The floor gleamed. The air smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and something warm. Home. At first, panic surged through him. Had someone broken in? "Hello?" he called out, his voice shaking. From the kitchen, a woman stepped into view. Daniel's heart nearly stopped. It was Evelyn Harrington, the CEO of Harrington Tech, the woman whose name sat on the building, whose presence made entire boardrooms fall silent. Dressed not in a power suit, but in simple jeans and a sweater, rubber gloves still on her hands. She was holding a dish towel. "Good evening, Daniel," she said gently. Daniel dropped his briefcase. I'm sorry, ma'am," he stammered. "I think there's been some kind of mistake." Evelyn smiled softly. "No mistake. This is your apartment." His mind raced. Why are you... Before he could finish, Noah burst from his room, eyes lighting up. "Dad, she helped me with my homework, and she made grilled cheese." Daniel stared at his son, then back at the most powerful woman he had ever seen. "What is going on?" he whispered. Evelyn removed her gloves and placed them neatly on the counter.
"May I sit?"
Still in shock, Daniel nodded. They sat at the small dining table, the one Daniel had bought second-hand after Lily passed. Evelyn folded her hands. "I owe you an explanation and an apology." Daniel frowned. "An apology? From you?" She took a deep breath. 3 weeks ago, you stayed late at the office. You probably don't remember, but I was in the hallway. I overheard your phone call." Daniel felt his chest tighten. "You were talking to your son," she continued. "You told him you were sorry you couldn't make it to his school play. You said you'd try next time, even though you both knew you probably wouldn't." Daniel swallowed hard. "I lost my temper," Evelyn said quietly. "Not at you. At myself." She looked around the apartment. "I built an empire, but I missed everything that mattered. Birthdays, dinners, bedtime stories." Daniel's voice cracked. "I don't understand." Evelyn's eyes glistened. "My husband died 8 years ago. Our daughter, Sophie, blamed me. Said I chose work over family. She stopped speaking to me when she turned 18. The room fell silent. "Last month," Evelyn went on, "Sophie called me. She's pregnant. She said she's afraid she'll become the kind of mother I was." Tears welled in Evelyn's eyes. "That night after hearing you, I went home and realized I've been measuring success wrong my entire life." Daniel felt something break open inside him. "So I looked into you," Evelyn admitted. "Your performance reviews, your overtime hours, the projects you carried without credit, and the days you requested off that were denied." Daniel clenched his fists. "I never complained." "I know," Evelyn said softly. "That's what broke my heart." She reached into her bag and placed a folder on the table. Inside was a contract. "Effective immediately," she said. "You are being promoted to senior analyst. Flexible hours, remote work options, full benefits." Daniel's vision blurred. "But that's not why I'm here," Evelyn added quickly. "This She gestured to the clean apartment, the warm food, Noah humming happily in his room. This is my apology for creating a system where good fathers have to choose between love and survival. Daniel tried to speak, but no words came. I cleaned your house because no one ever cleaned mine when I was drowning, Evelyn whispered. I wanted you to come home and breathe. Tears streamed down Daniel's face. I don't deserve this, he choked. Evelyn stood and placed a hand over his. Neither did my daughter. And I failed her. Let me not fail you too. Noah peeked around the corner. Dad, are you okay? Daniel pulled his son into his arms and held him tighter than ever before. I'm okay, buddy, he whispered. I really am. Evelyn wiped her eyes. Dinner's ready. I hope you don't mind. I stayed. Daniel nodded through tears. Please stay. That night, 3 people sat at a small table, sharing grilled cheese and soup, laughing softly. And for the first time in years, Daniel didn't feel alone. 2 months later, Daniel attended Noah's school play, front row, and in the audience beside him sat Evelyn Harrington, quietly applauding, learning at last what real success looked like. Life didn't magically become perfect after that night. But for the first time in years, it became possible. Daniel's promotion changed everything, not just financially, but emotionally. Working from home allowed him to walk Noah to school, cook dinner without rushing, and sit beside him during homework instead of apologizing from another room. Still, guilt lingered. Years of missed moments don't disappear overnight. One afternoon, as Daniel waited outside Noah's school, he noticed Evelyn standing across the street. No security, no assistance, just her, hands folded, eyes distant. You didn't have to come, Daniel said gently. I wanted to, she replied. I missed too many of these. They watch parents laugh, children run, time move forward without asking permission. That night, Evelyn invited Daniel and Noah to dinner at her home. Daniel hesitated. He had seen the mansion from afar, cold glass walls, guarded gates, a place that screamed success but whispered loneliness. Inside, the house felt exactly as he expected. Beautiful, silent, empty. Noah's footsteps echoed as he explored. It's so big, he whispered. Does anyone else live here? Evelyn froze. No, she said softly. Not anymore. At dinner, Noah spoke freely about school, about dreams, about how his mom used to sing to him before bed. Evelyn listened like someone memorizing a language she once ignored. After dessert, Noah fell asleep on the couch. Daniel stood to carry him when a photograph on the wall caught his eye. A teenage girl. Bright smile. Familiar eyes. Sophie, Daniel said quietly. Evelyn nodded. She hasn't been here in 6 years. Daniel turned. Have you tried? Willie tried. Evelyn's voice cracked. I wrote letters, emails, gifts. She returned them all. Daniel hesitated, then spoke from a place he rarely opened. When Lily died, he said, I thought love ended with her. But Noah taught me something. Love doesn't disappear. It waits. Evelyn swallowed hard. The next morning, Evelyn did something she had never done in her career. She asked for help. Daniel didn't expect the call 2 weeks later. She's here, Evelyn said, her voice shaking. Sophie is here? Daniel arrived to find Sophie standing in the doorway, pregnant, guarded eyes sharp with old wounds. I'm not staying long, Sophie said. I just needed answers. Evelyn didn't defend herself, didn't explain her empire. She only said, I was wrong. Sophie laughed bitterly. That's it? Yes, Evelyn whispered. And I would give back every success to have been the mother you needed. Silence stretched. Then Noah stepped forward. Are you lonely? He asked Sophie innocently. She blinked. What? My grandma says lonely people need extra hugs. Before anyone could stop him, Noah wrapped his arms around her. Sophie broke. She cried, not quietly, not politely, but with years of pain pouring out at once. Evelyn fell to her knees and held her daughter for the first time in 6 years. Daniel turned away, tears streaming freely. Weeks later, Sophie moved back home. Temporarily, she insisted. But temporary turned into dinners, laughter, doctor visits together. One evening, Sophie found Evelyn washing dishes. You don't need to do that, Sophie said. I know, Evelyn replied, but I want to. Sophie watched. Her mother's hands that once signed contracts without shaking, now trembling slightly. I'm scared, Sophie admitted. of becoming you. Evelyn turned. Then don't, be better. I'll support you. Not lead you. The night Sophie gave birth, Daniel stood in the hallway holding Noah, both waiting. When the baby cried, Evelyn collapsed into a chair, sobbing not from pride, but from gratitude. You saved us, she told Daniel later. He shook his head. No, you chose to change. Months passed. Harrington Tech transformed, mandatory family hours, paid parental leave, mental health support. Other CEOs mocked her. Evelyn didn't care. 1 year later, at Noah's birthday party, the house was full. Sophie laughed while holding her baby. Evelyn baked a cake, badly. Daniel grilled outside, smiling. Someone asked Evelyn, "Do you regret stepping back?" She looked at the people around her. At the end of life, she said, no one asks how powerful you were. They ask who held your hand. Daniel watched Noah blow out candles. For the first time since Lily died, Daniel felt peace, not because life was easy, but because love had returned. And this time, it stayed. Time passed quietly, just the way healing often does. Daniel no longer measured life by deadlines or overtime hours. His mornings began with Noah's laughter, his evenings with stories and slow dinners. The ache of Lily's absence never vanished, but it softened, no longer a wound, but a memory wrapped in warmth. Evelyn changed too. She stepped away from daily operations at Harrington Tech, choosing mentorship over control. The company thrived anyway, maybe because leadership finally had a heart. One autumn afternoon, Evelyn received a call that made her knees give way. Sophie was in the hospital. Complications. Daniel rushed Evelyn there, Noah clutching his hand in the back seat. Sensing fear even without words, the waiting room felt cruelly familiar. White walls, ticking clocks, helplessness. Hours passed. Finally, a nurse smiled. Both mother and baby are safe. Evelyn pressed her hands to her face and wept, not from fear this time, but gratitude. That night, while Sophie slept, Evelyn wandered the quiet hospital corridor and sat alone. For the first time, she allowed herself to think about death. Not as an enemy, but as a question. If I disappeared tomorrow, what would remain of me? The thought haunted her. Weeks later, Evelyn asked Daniel for a favor. "Help me write something," she said. "A will?" Daniel asked gently. "No," she replied. "A letter." She began writing every night. Not emails, not texts, letters. To Sophie, to her granddaughter, to Daniel, to Noah, and one she never planned to give to anyone. A letter to herself. Winter came. One evening, Evelyn collapsed in her kitchen. A stroke. This time, there was no warning. Daniel found her unconscious the next morning when she didn't answer. Noah's excited call about his science project. The hospital room felt different this time. Final, Evelyn survived, but barely. When she woke, her voice was weak, her hands trembling. She asked for the letters. Sophie read hers first. "You don't have to forgive me," Evelyn had written. "But I need you to know I see you now." Sophie cried silently, holding her mother's hand. Daniel read his next. "You reminded me that leadership without love is empty. Thank you for showing me who I failed to be, and who I can still become." Then Noah opened his. The words were simple. "You taught me that hugs are important. I promise to give them freely now." Noah smiled. "She writes funny." They laughed through tears. Days later, while cleaning Evelyn's study, Sophie found one last envelope. No name. Curious, she opened it. It was the letter Evelyn had written to herself. "I was strong but absent, powerful but afraid. I thought providing was the same as loving. It wasn't." Sophie's hand shook. "I don't ask to be remembered as great, only as someone who finally learned." Sophie carried the letter to her mother's bedside. "You weren't meant to read this," Sophie said. Evelyn looked away. "Then burn it." Sophie shook her head. "No, you deserve forgiveness too." Evelyn closed her eyes and sobbed, not in regret, but release. Spring arrived. Evelyn didn't return to the boardroom. She opened a foundation instead, supporting single parents, flexible workplaces, and grief counseling. She named it the Lily Project, after Daniel's late wife. Daniel tried to refuse the honor. "She would have loved this," Evelyn said. "That's enough." On the foundation's opening day, Noah spoke into the microphone. "My mom is in heaven," he said bravely. "But I have lots of people who love me now. Applause turned into tears. Years later, Noah stood at his college graduation. Daniel watched proudly, hands shaking. Evelyn sat beside Sophie holding her granddaughter. Someone whispered, "That woman built an empire." Daniel smiled softly. "No," he said. "She built a family." That night, Daniel found a final letter in his mailbox from Evelyn. "If this is in your hands, it means my time is ending. Don't be sad. I lived more in my final years than in all the decades before." Daniel folded the letter and looked at the stars. Some people change the world with power. Others change it with kindness. Evelyn did both, but only after she learned which one mattered. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share.